Switch sound. Right. I think we're good to go. Are we up? Looks like we're up. People are there. Hi. Good morning, guys. Good morning tonight. Good evening. We're picking up where we left off this morning. Actually, I left off a couple of weeks ago, of course. Color separation work on the first of the boss fight sprints. I got about maybe a third of the way, half the way through it this morning. We'll try and give it a go, see if I can finish it tonight, not sure. YouTube videos, I said, yeah, what I said this morning was I might be in here this evening unless the shop's too busy, but then from tomorrow morning I have got to seriously do some YouTube video work. And although that really should be this same content, but whatever. Yeah, we'll talk about that later, what my plans are for the weekend. So that's still a question mark. It's a puzzle, a huge puzzle. Okay, there's the empty sheets. All right. Next, things we didn't get done this morning. Have we got a bunch of people here who weren't here this morning? How much do I have to re-explain and how much can I? How much can I leave hanging from what we did this morning? Okay, let's get going today. Where do I start? All right. Do we assume color separations? Okay. All right, there's obviously people who weren't here this morning, so let's do a quick recap to bring up to date on what we did this morning. Which can I use as a good example? Here we are. Let's find one that's a good example to explain what's going on. That's the yellow. That's the orange. And that's the red. The batteries are back in our ping-pong machine, so it's back to work. That's Kawai-san now shutting down the store. He's not going to go home though yet. He's going to go upstairs and do some printing. Okay, let's do a quick recap of what's going on here. This is the first boss fight print. The key block was finished a couple of weeks ago. I don't have it here in front of me. But once it was finished and checked and tested, I then took a number of impressions from that block. I took about 18 or 20 prints from it. And these prints are made on our, what do we keep calling it, our patented double layer paper. If I can pull an edge off it here just a sec. All right. It's the paper we make ourselves here. I don't mean we make the paper. We use the thin Japanese gampi paper and we spray glue it, tack it to a base sheet so it's stable. We can't print with just the gampi. So I take a bunch of these transfer sheets, and the purpose is to transfer the key lines from the key block over to the color blocks. That's one we haven't used yet. Here's 3 that I did this morning to try and show what's going to go on. We've got Jed's Photoshop printout. Now look up at the top in the sky there. There's an area. We're going to need a block to print that yellow area in the sky. Sky or whatever it is behind it. But we also need a block to print that orange area nearby it. We also need a block to print that dark red-black area that's above it. So there's 3 different color blocks necessary here. But think about this. If I have a block for the yellow and it comes up with all these fingers, then I need another block for the orange, which comes up with all these fingers. That's really crazy difficult to carve so that these 2 match together. Luckily, what we've got is a system here where the orange can go underneath the yellow. I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm tired. It's been a long day actually in the shop. See upstairs. The yellow can go under the orange because it's a compound part of it, and the yellow can go under the red. So here's how we do it. This is the area for the yellow. You can see it. It's going to delineate the area that we're going to be printing in yellow, and it goes under the orange and under the red. Now don't get confused by the fact that it's a yellow highlighter. We're just using highlighter to make the marks. All these transfer sheets have a yellow highlighter. So don't confuse that with the yellow in the print. It's no connection. We're just marking out zones. So there's the zone for the yellow pigment, which will go under the orange and under the red. Okay, come along. Here's the one for the next one. And there's another thing that needs to be explained here. This is the block that we're going to use to cut the orange area. But I can't do it all in one step because I need this zigzag data from Jed's Photoshop file. So for us, the first step is I cut roughly the area that we use to get this orange. It'll be covered here, that's the area. Bit of orange here, that's it. Bit of orange up here, it'll come inside this area. So we're going to cut this first. Then when it's cut and all the extra stuff is gone and out of the way, then I will get Jed's Photoshop data, paste it on top, and we'll cut those zigzag lines. And the same thing happens for stage 3 for the one just above it, the block with the red zigzag lines and the red at the top. So it's a bit difficult to put it all down in one, but there's the step by step, the yellow, the orange, and the red block. Now the red one at the top, actually the bottom area has nothing, so I'll be using this same one later. We're going to use the bottom area perhaps for some gray or something. So once it's pasted down, we'll be able to print 2 colors from one piece of wood. I don't know, because I don't know that you guys all got to have different backgrounds. So who understands this, who doesn't understand it, how much more I need to explain, I don't really know. Let's just try a couple more here to show you what's going on. This is a simple one. The guy's wearing a blue tunic. Bingo. Here's the block that will print the blue tunic. It's a pretty straightforward one. I might be adding more to this later as we go. I'm just starting with this step. This is another easy one to understand. Skin tone. The block that'll print the skin tone. And you can see we've cut out, I've arranged, I've highlighted the shapes that will be left over for the skin tone. Anyway, that's what's going on here. And that's what's going to keep going on tonight. I've got my Jedi Master here. And I'm going to grab another part of my list. I need a block for these patterns. Somewhere in the smoke or whatever it is that's going on down where this battle is taking place. There's a gray background And there's curves and swirls. I think it's supposed to represent smoke and whatever. I don't know. I don't think it's a C. But I don't have that information here. That's going to come from Photoshop. So first step for me is to carve again. Just the areas that that's going to be contained in. So grab a new one, and away we go. If I've confused everybody or not, I have no idea. The door sound. The door lives. Yes. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. This color overlaying and underlaying. There's many factors. The reason number one here, the yellow going under the orange, so we don't have to carve those fuzzy lines and make them all match up. Bingo, reason number one. Reason number two is having the yellow under the orange, having them printed twice makes the colors deeper and richer. There's a limit to how many times we can do it, but 3 times is certainly no problem. Then another reason, what did you say in your comment here? So. Sometimes, for example, these little orange areas here are going to be so small. By multiplying those, by combining them with other areas, we end up having larger pieces of wood. And we can print much easier than we can on just little tiny dots that are scattered all over the place. So by having that color extend under the nearby areas, it's much easier to print. Okay, let's get a marker and get to it here. What this next one will be then is wooden zones that I'll use to paste on Jed's data for these smoke swirls. And I've got the wrong glasses on, so away you go. Start your drinking. That's worn out. Where's the real one? That's worn out. I thought I got a new one. Here we are. We were joking about that this morning, that Dave's real work, it's just like being back in kindergarten, coloring in between the lines, you know. Second childhood, kinda. At 65, this is where I've got to, just like what I was doing when I was 3. It's so easy to forget spots. We'll be double checking and triple checking all of this later. Alright, I think that'll do it for that. Again, this is not finished. This is going to be cut out first in rough shapes. Then when it's all the waste wood has been cleared away, we will then take Jed's Photoshop data, paste it on here, and cut all these little swirls and swirls. So this is the block for the smoke swirls, or whatever they're called. Alright, next is brown, I think. I gotta get the brown block next. Let's see. How many have we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 7 left. Okay, coming up, brown. This is pretty complicated, yeah. So, I know, what can I say? I'm sorry. This is not the most interesting part of the job to watch, you know, the carving or printing or stuff coming before your life. Just watching a guy do some coloring. I'm sorry. It's just part of the job that has to be done. It's also really easy to make mistakes, to forget a place. So there's a limit, you know, to the concentration and stuff I can do. But anyway, let me just keep going on this. This is now going to be the block for the brown parts of this robot. Jed's given me clearly a two-toned. Is it clear on there? He's giving me a two-tone. You know, sort of a brownie type color and a steel blue gray color. Now these will have underlays. We've already done one gray block that goes underneath both of those. This is a deep gray tone going under the brown and under the blue gray. And the next block I'm going to carve now is the one that will create the brownish color. It won't be printed with the color you see there because, as I said, there are other colors underneath it. But it'll be the block that we use to mix some kind of color to produce this brown color. And it's really easy to make mistakes here. There's 2 together there. And also, I'm not sure if people in this part of the stream caught it. We finished with the owl. The owl test printing happened. Was it yesterday? I don't even remember what day it is. Yesterday morning? Was it yesterday morning? And it's all been proofed up and ready to go. The blocks have been sent to our Ome workshop. And one of our printers, Tsushima-san, she's the one who's been with us the longest. She'll start printing it on Tuesday afternoon. And once I can see that she's well up on the way and it's going well, we'll open the web page for it. Turned out kind of well. Should I take a moment and pop the address into the stream here? People that don't know about it yet. I scanned it and put it up online. So here's the address for the owl that we've been carving the past few days. Itune. If I can get this right. Get it right, Dave. Yeah, there is. So here's the owl image that we were working on all the last week. That's the test proof that I did yesterday morning. Or the day before. I don't have any idea what day it was. And that is going to be one very, very popular print this year. Absolutely a popular print. I've had it on my desk here before we packed the package to go to Ome. Print was sitting on my desk here, and everybody who passed, kawaii, kawaii. I'm going to knock out the parts that we're not supposed to carve here. It's easy to miss and pop these in. Let's just put dots here that tell our carver, ignore these places. Okay, did I catch everything? Oh no, right there, right in the middle of the sword. No. What do we got going here? Going. You guys chatting away, okay? Thanks. On the way? Well, thank you very much. Good day, thank you, Nay. Very helpful. Oh, 本当に very helpful. Thank you. That's Ishikawa-san just checking out for the day. She's one of the printers upstairs. And she's done, it's been what used to be my work for all the time. I'm doing the first test printing, you know, when we've got a set of blocks finished. The Jeds, you know, in the old days when all the heroes came in, they come into me and I do the first printing. I used to make YouTube videos of the test printing of all of them. And with this yokai series coming in, it was just too much. And at some point I had to baton touch, we say, pass it on to somebody else. And she's picked up and she's been doing the test printing of the yokai prints for most of the whole series all the way through now. It's great. It's been really, really helpful getting a color balance worked out, figuring out which is good, coming to me, should we do it lighter, darker, whatever, making some notes. So all the other printers just really follow what she's done. So she's done the proofing on them. She's brought the blocks down to me a few minutes ago, and she's found a few places that need some little bit of a color adjustment. So before I pack it up tonight, I'll be doing a bit of that. Maybe on camera here or whatever, I don't know, or just before. And she's going to start the real printing on that tomorrow. We're late. This is the November yokai. We're usually working about 2 months in advance, but bit by bit, month by month, we've fallen farther and farther behind. Partly because the designs haven't come in from somewhere, and partly because just to our own I don't know, backlog of work. But we're finishing it off. This is October. We're printing the November one. We should have printed that in September, but it's okay. The December one is nearly finished carving, and once the December one is carved, we'll be printing that in early November, which is a month behind where we'd like to be, because we've got a new series, of course, starting in January. And I had planned that the new series starts in January, the carving starts in October, which is now. We carve it through October, we print it through November. We've got an extra month's leeway so that during the year, if things slip, we get back onto it. But here we are in October and we haven't even got the design ready yet. So next year's series, whatever, we're going to be doing a much simpler approach next year. Much simpler approach. We just took too much. This yokai series this year was a great idea. We've had good fun doing it. It's been fabulous. But my God, 2 full, rich prints every month has just been, has just been too much. All right, what am I doing before I lose track of this? This is brown. And we have a real problem. I know we talked about this before. We've postponed it and postponed it. We talked earlier about colors underlying each other. And here we've got to a place where Jed's given us something that we just can't do. We want this yellow near the orange. The yellow runs underneath it, no problem. We want the yellow near the brown. The yellow can go under the brown because yellow is mixed into brown, no problem. But he's given us a design for this robot thing or monster, whatever it is, that's got sort of these, I don't know what you call them, the parts of the robot. It's a gray, blue, and it's a brown, and it's a cool color and a warm color. And I can't run the brown under the blue, because the blue is transparent, the brown would show through. I can't run the blue under the brown. Sometimes we can, because brown has lots of stuff mixed in it, including blue. But if I ran a deep blue like this under that brown, we'd never be able to print a light brown. So the point being, neither of these can go underneath the other. And yet, there's no line between them. So they've got to be divided, block A and block B, but there's no borderline. So, what do we do? What we could have done, but didn't, is we could have taken Jed's original, and we could have drawn lines on all those places. Then our carver could have carved those lines. They would now all be on this sheet, carved lines. I do my colors, color this side brown, color that side gray, do a test print, come back to the key block and carve away those lines. But we didn't do that. So there's only one way forward on it. I got my pen. I got to draw them. I have to draw them all. And I'm going to draw them on the brown block, which we will then carve. And when it comes back from the carver, I will print the brown block and print it onto another one of these sheets. And that will show us where to carve the dark gray. So it's going to have to be a back and forth process, but somewhere along the line still it has to get drawn. And I've been postponing it, but here we are, and here we go. I think I should do it with pencil first. I had been kind of hoping that I could make this match up with Jed's visit. Jed's coming over later this year. It would have been nice to Jed sit down and say, Jed, that's the pattern you want. Please draw it. But it didn't work out. He's not coming until December. There's a, what's it called? Tokyo Comic Con? Tokyo something or other. In Tokyo in December. Jed's coming over for it. And we have some plans. While he's here, there's a bunch of stuff we'd like to do together. He's coming over for the convention. He's also coming over to do some sketching. He's going to be traveling and doing some sketching. But while he's here, I think we should do some Twitch work together. And that's going to be fun. Have Jed sitting here in the room, get a couple of cameras worked up, and get a chat running and throw it open. Question and answer. Jed Henry and Dave Bull. I think that's going to be fun. We need somebody else to monitor the chat, I guess, because we can't sit there and whatever. We'll figure out how to do it. We'll figure out a way how to do it. announce it in advance so that everybody knows and get it up. I think it did that pretty well. I think I screwed up one of them. Let's take it off there. Yeah, Jed and Dave live on Reddit TV. Not Reddit TV, Twitch TV. What am I thinking about? I must be thinking we did a Reddit AMA years ago. So we can do our own now. Without Reddit, we'll just do a Twitch. Jed and Dave on Twitch. So stand by for that. Okay. Just to recap. You get what we're getting at here then. So, Jed's called for a pattern alternating brown and blue and brown and blue. It's not on the key block, so I've had to draw it in. I will now color in the brown ones. Our carver will carve the brown ones, and after that's finished, we will transfer that. So I have to reserve one of these papers for the gray, because we can't carve the gray until the brown has been carved. There we have it. Simple. Now all I got to do is do it 5,000 times again. What's in the mail here? Nothing in the mail. I don't hear any mail. Yeah, artist Dave, because I'm drawing. Ha 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 ha. Let's keep at it. Again, I apologize for the sort of not so interesting stream here today. This is work that's part of my job and it has to be done. And the shop time is totally out of the question, so Twitch time it is. We also have to define that curve. We'll do that right now. Artist Dave at work. Where else do we got to do? Over here. Here's the sounds from outside. It's Saturday night in Azuxa. This is a bar district, so it'll be a hot night in the old town tonight. It's a long weekend. Monday is, I forget, it's a holiday for something. I can't remember which one it is. During the shop time, you sit at the counter. No, the rest of the day, I mean, the shop was open today. What I did was I did one of the print parties myself. It was a big, difficult party. Kawai-san is really good at the print parties. If it's a one person or two, and sometimes three, he can handle it. We had a big 4-people party. Actually, it was 5. We had booked 4, but 5 came in. So there was this conflict right away. They wanted to add one more person, but we couldn't because that would impact on the people who had already made their reservations. So conflict 1. So I've got to be there. So I ran that party, and it was a stiff, sticky party for the first 10 minutes. And if Kawai-san had done it, it would have been a struggle to get through it. But I have experience, and I can run it and get the people happy and get things going. So during the day, print party host is what I'm on at some of the time. Then the other thing is, what do I do every day, all day? We have, just a minute, let me think what I'm doing here, just a sec. Carve, what did I do here? It's everything and anything. And we have now 18, I don't know how to count it, 18 or 19. Should I count Cameron yet? Do I count Aimi-san out? I don't know. We have 18 or 19 people working here. Transactions, there's tens of thousands of transactions going on every month, going on. There's just a general level of managing and maintenance that needs to be done. All day today, it's been answering emails from people, handling people in the shop, doing print parties, processing orders, and then the printers. We've got Ishikawa-san, Sugu-san upstairs, Kawai-san's practicing. We've got Shimoi-san working outside now, Yamamoto-san's working outside. We've got Kubota-san, Kanai-san. We've got 7 printers now working for us, and I have to keep those guys supplied with work. So I've got this schedule. It's still in my head. We need to automate this. Not automate it, but we need to make it easier for me to work with. Who's doing what? When is it running out? When do they need the next blocks? When do they need the next paper by? And it's an insane, this is one of the reasons why I gave up and we had to hire this manager. Keeping track of all those people. I've got to keep the people fed with work, and that's probably what takes up most of my time. Organizing the upcoming jobs for the printers and carvers. And I really ask this myself, so what do you do all day, Dave? And then I get to the end of the day and I've been busy every minute of the freaking day. And what did I get done? Sometimes on my own bench next to nothing. But 18 people and tens of thousands of transactions just end up taking so much work. I spent nearly an hour today with our tax accountant on the phone. Like, not that we're millionaires and what to do with the money type of discussions. No. One of our workers, Kanai-san, she's the girl that got pregnant 2 years ago. She's working at home. And it turns out that it really, really makes things much more complex. And there's a whole new kind of paper we have to fill out to do her pay slips, because she's no longer working in the same building here. And it's a half an hour or more on the phone with the tax guy and then back and forth and checking with Kanai-san how much does her husband earn, what kind of deductions they're getting. It's just biz, general biz. And hopefully now, within the next couple of months, I can get rid of all of that stuff. Another thing that's coming up, maybe there's people on the thread here, the chat here, could give me some advice about this. This business, remember, started with me as a one-man show, 25, 30 years ago, whenever you count it. Back in 2012, was it? I hired the first people to work here as printers. And from then on, we built up and up and up and up. But given the roots that it's a one guy with a one-man show, things like email, for example. I have my own domain names, woodblock.com, mokuhankan.com. So I don't use Gmail. I've got an excellent web host, Pair Networks, and I've set up mailboxes in my domain name. So people write to me, davebull@woodblock.com. No problem. We set up a new email whenever it's necessary. I started PayPal 17 years ago, no problem. Payments@woodblock.com. I control the mail. I set up my own mailboxes in my domain. what I'm getting at here is this. This goes on from 1996. So now on my computer, right here, the laptop that this thing is running on right now, has in it, on its hard drive, every piece of email that I have sent and received since 1996. I pull off the attachments, we don't need those. But all the mail is there. The mail comes into this machine and the mail goes out of this machine. Now all of a sudden we're 18 people working here. Now it's no problem. The printers don't send and receive mail. Cameron-san is going to start to send and receive mail on his own right. Teiko-san, we're going to assign her to do some publicity with hotels. She's going to need an email address, teiko@mokuhankan. All of a sudden, keeping all my mail on one computer is not going to work. We need to set up some kind of mail server. Do I get a server, put it upstairs in a closet? How do you run a mail server? We're about to take on a whole bunch more different things that are going to involve a ton of different jobs that I don't know how to do. All the mail since 1996. Every scrap of it. It's so cool. You can search for something and within seconds. But that's obviously not the way to run a business. It was okay when it was just one guy. But a multi-business with a dozen people or more, you can't run mail from one laptop. A mail server, yeah, like I need problems like that. Security. It's hard to see this on the shiny paper. I got it. Google Gmail, I'm so, nervous about switching to services like this. I've been bit so many times over the years. Google, I guess, is fairly reliable. They're not going away anytime. But so many times I start using a web service and then bang, X months later, you have 3 months to download your data because we're closing the doors, whatever. I don't know. Give our mail to Google, I'm really, really resistant to that. So far, with all of our IT stuff, I've done completely in-house solutions. All of the software, I wrote it. We know what it is. We know how it works. We're not dependent on anybody else to close their service and stuff, I really hesitate to use outside services. What's the hassle? Setting up our own mail server. I can guess already. Insane hassles, you know. Can you hear the karaoke from down the street? The guy's pretty loud. It's coming in the window here. God, he's out of tune, you know. Whatever, that's karaoke. Hey, David streaming. How much did I miss? 40 years? What's left there? Where am I? Here? Goes around the back. This thing is brown. That goes around the back. Right. Okay, I think that one's done, I think. We're certainly not going to paste it down without a lot more checking. A lot more checking. Oh, I got that the wrong way around. Look at that. I sent the curves the wrong way. Dave Baka. Goes this way. That's what I get for trying to talk about mail and do this at the same time. The red tells our carver ignore it. Right. Okay, as I said, I'll be checking, double checking, triple checking, but I think that's the brown one. The pattern on this, the guardian's arms, the sword, all these different technical pieces and stuff. And again, I'm going to check really carefully all the intermediate little things. This piece here looks pretty good, looks good, comes around there. I think we've got the most of it. I better give him a line here. Oh, look at that, missed one there in the back of that. This goes around the back. Right. Okay, there we go. I think I've got time for one more tonight, I think. That's going to be the brown. Oh, I've also got the light brown. There's a light brown. It's going to be on his... Light brown is going to be on his hair. it's going to be the claws of the whatever thing here, and it's his, whatever, the stripe at the front of his tunic, and it's a bunch of areas inside these circles. That's the visible part. But it could also, you can see it most clearly here, this light brown could clearly underlay the dark brown. Plus and a minus. If I underlay it, it means it's easy to print this zone. Instead of printing a tiny little circle here, I can print the whole thing flat. But if I do underlay it, it means I've got to carve all the brown parts all over again, because this would underlay all of them. So it's a two-edged sword, you know. Underlaying is good news for part of it, and bad news for part of it. For example, that thing I just did. All those things. Do I underlay that light brown under all those little things again? Option C is underlay it just under part of this brown. And that would give the brown then in some places a two-tone feel. For example, if I underlay that yellow-brown under just this circle area, but not under these parts, then the brown will have a three-tone pattern. So I'm thinking that's the way to go. I'm certainly not going to put it under all those things that I just drew. No way. One, I couldn't get it lined up anyway. So what I'm going to start now is I'm going to get a paper for this light brown. One more off my deck here. And first step, I'm going to draw the parts that are the visible parts of the light brown. That's a bit loose there. Let's use another one. Is that clear on the hair? No, that's going to be for red. Let's use this one. So first step, I'm going to put the visible parts of the light brown and then extend those to whatever part feels good, seems to make sense. And give us a multi-tone brown on the mechanical parts of this machine. Jed loves drawing these steampunk things, you know. Robots was sort of a steampunk aesthetic. That stuff he's done, the Overwatch things for the current Kickstarter campaign, it's full of that. Also, I read an interesting story on a news website today. You guys catch this? I know there's a Comic-Con happening, I think, in New York or something right now. Jed's actually over there. He's got a booth over there. And one of the major media companies, was it Warner Brothers or something? They made a big announcement there over the past couple of days. They're doing a Batman thing. I think this is an anime. This is not a movie. This is an anime of some sort. They're doing a Batman-type anime set in, guess where? Old-time Japan. As in, like, ninjas and stuff. I saw that news today and I thought, Jesus, Jed should sue these guys. I mean, he's got his own Batman thing on his website, and it's really funny to see this. It's quite possible. I mean, Ukiyo-e Heroes has now been out and around in the world since 2012. It's been out and around for 5 years plus in the world now, and everybody in the world has seen it. And I can imagine somewhere in the middle of Warner Brothers, some executive meeting a couple of years back, whatever, some guy's looking at this stuff and saying, hey, why don't we do this? Which one of our properties? Whatever, Batman. Let's take Batman, put him back in old feudal Japan, you know. And they're all laughing, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And then somebody says, you know, that's maybe not such a bad idea. And here it is, maybe because of Jed's idea. I have no idea about this now. All I know is that it's going to exist, but I have no idea about Jed's idea. But there it is. Batman is going back to medieval Japan. And it's quite possibly because Jed Henry thought of it. I heard the question sound. What is seems to has become called the official questions, meaning a question asked in the stream I almost certainly may not see because I'm looking away, but a question that comes into the question box, I get a notification. I heard that sound. It's the Maksosumi sound. So because it's an official question, let's take the time and trouble to go and have a look at it. Mokuhankan collaborating with Warner Brothers, yeah. See if I can find that link. Just a sec. I gotta find a question here too. Let's just see this. Just a moment. Where did I put that today? Sorry for the disruption here. Just a second. Here it is. Got a link for you. Here's the link to the story I read on the media today. It seems to be a real thing. Now, let me look for the question. Twitch questions. Whoa, that's a name. The real name here is a shock for me. I knew that name when I was back as a flute player. Wow, your real name, sir. It was very, very famous to me. If you know anything about classical flute playing, this name is a big deal. He's dead though, so I guess it's not you, but it's a question about YouTube versus Twitch, and I can't answer it in any sensible way, sir, because I've never investigated or looked at or thought about or ever tried YouTube streaming. The idea came up to do this a couple of months ago when I get back to my carving bench. Let's do some streaming, and I first investigated the streaming service that I used to use years ago, Ustream. Doesn't seem suitable anymore for doing this. There's a cost-price structure that just didn't seem to make any sense to what I'm doing. So somebody had been talking about Twitch, so I came over to Twitch, looked at it. It looked good. It looked full of interesting people, so I tried it. So I didn't make any comparison. Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, Twitch streaming. I didn't do the spreadsheet. So I'm sorry, I can't answer you. Why not YouTube streaming? I don't know. I just grabbed this, set up the account, tried it, and man, it's been working really well. It brought tons of people in right away. So I'm sorry, it's not a real answer. It's a non-committal answer. Now this zone here is also going to be very, very difficult, and I can't draw this. What we're going to have to do is I've just given the zone here. We need hair, period. And the carver, Johnson, when he's carving it, he's just going to sit there with this thing right beside him, and he's going to try and carve stuff that looks like hair. And we've got the same problem. The two colors don't overlay. The hair comes down in strings, and it leaves spaces between them. That is going to be the most single, toughest, difficult part of this print, the way that Jed's designed it. The only way out would be to put the hair color underneath all this robot arm. And then the hair edge gets defined when we cut the robot arm off in tendrils. But I can't do that. It won't go underneath. It's the wrong color. So we're going to kick that can down the road. All right, there's the light brown. Now the question, how much do we bring the light brown into the surrounding areas to give us multiple tones? Suppose we did this. Can you see? I guess, whatever. There's these round gear type things. It's clearly they're joints. And then there's the in-between part. And there's more brown over here on the head of the thing. Not not sure what to do. I think what I'll do is this, just to make sense. Let's bring this under the round parts of these gears and leave the arm parts of the gears separate. So the round parts will have a bit of a two-tone feel to them. Let's do that. Here we go. Decision, decision, decision. Jed knows nothing about this, but if he didn't get involved, so be it. Here we go. Then put that on the outside of this part. Just to there. And then on the shadow part behind it. We'll do that. There's 4 of them. Let's do it on each of the 4. Okay, we're coming up sort of to our time. My stomach is getting here, you know. We'll finish doing this here. We're coming up to time. And what's the schedule going to be? Today's Saturday. I've got to do a new video to close off the Kickstarter campaign. I'm not sure what to do it about, but we desperately need a video for the last few days of the Kickstarter campaign. So I've got to do that sometime over the next couple of days. Sunday, Monday. So as I mentioned in this morning stream, let me put a question mark on the schedule. I've been really good about streaming almost every day except Tuesdays. Well, let me put a question mark on the schedule now for tomorrow. It could be that I'll be off streaming to make a YouTube video. And if I do this, I will post on the Twitch not the Twitch front page, I mean my page on Twitch, my channel picture there. I'll post an adjustment to the schedule. So let's just leave it blank right now. I may be here tomorrow with normal scheduling, or I may not be, I'm sorry. And actually, even so, if I'm here with normal scheduling, it's just more of this stuff, so it's not actually that interesting, I'm sorry. Then after that, over the next few days, I mean during the coming week or so, what's my work going to be? That's a good question, because I've covered now all the stuff that I had to catch up with. I've done the owl. I will have done these color blocks by then. They'll be off to other printers. I guess I will perhaps be carving the first print in next year's subscription series, maybe. And once I start doing that, it won't be a secret anymore. So who knows? That might be coming up in the next few days. Okay, that looks like a good compromise. The wheels, the gear parts of these things are going to be done at a different tone. Okay? The gear parts are going to get double impression. They're done at a different tone than the arm parts of this thing. Let's give it a bit of an extra taste. Okay, this is, where's my pen? What is it? Sandy brown, light brown. Is that a question sneaking in under the deadline before I leave here? Let's have a look. You can, it says here, somebody's suggesting I can enable channel feed. I tried that. once, but what it did was it pushed away, it erased all the things that are on there right now, what they call panels, the schedule panel, the link to the YouTube channel, stuff like that. I could either have the feed, which had posts, like a sort of a blog thing, or I could have panels. And I think the ones that are there seem to be much more useful. And maybe it's the way that you see it on desktop or see it on mobile is all different. I have no idea. Did you send a question just so you could drink? You guys are too much. Here it is, question. Dear Mike. I can do this, just a minute. He's asking me to reference a certain YouTube video to answer a certain question. Which one is it? I can do this. Just give me a minute here. I can do this. I'm going to my YouTube page. Yeah, I can do this. Here it is. Okay, I'll pop it into the stream here. What this is just a link to one of the YouTube videos. The gentleman asked, I don't know, he's remembered watching a video earlier where I tried to describe how I answer people in the shop who say, is this an original print? What should be a 1-minute answer to a question became a half-an-hour answer to the question, and it became a YouTube video. And he's asking me if I can reference it. So there it is, sir. I think this is the one you're asking about. Unless it isn't. Okay, there we go. It is my dinner time now. And I'm sorry to leave it so vague. Will I be here tomorrow? Will I not be here tomorrow? What will I be doing? It's just, I don't know. I'm sorry. If I'm here, it'll be doing this work. If I'm not, I'll be busy making a YouTube, which I desperately have to do. I'll post information about it. Thanks very much. As always, I'm going to have fun reading this. Maybe there's conversations and suggestions you've made to me. I will definitely pick them up as soon as I can. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is. I'm not actually quite sure, but thanks again. Video off first. Unclip my microphone. Tonight's dinner, what's it going to be? Oh, it's Saturday night. Every place is crowded. I might go and get one from the little Turkish takeout down the street. Some I don't know, pita. Let's see. Anyway, enough of this. Thank you and good night.